give them something to talk about. I see the energy running out. I got a planet to run around. Okay. You ain't do nothing but run your mouth. No, I don't want to be humble now. You doubted me, nothing to talk about.
It's always tricky when we do our intro, Tom. It's very, you got to lower the sound down to easy.
And I get chewed out if I go a little too soon.
It's a delicate matter.
Man, that went too long. I'm
Um,
just kidding.
yeah, welcome, Tom McCoy.
What's happening, boys?
This is, actually, welcome back to the podcast,
Yeah.
everyone. I hope we didn't lose too many fans over the last 3 weeks.
Oh.
We've supposed to been on this would be the third week. We've missed 2 weeks because my wife Yvonne and Kim, we're very good friends, and Kim runs operations for Diablo. We're supposed to come on and do a podcast about meal prep because they meal prep almost identically. They cook some stuff and they've got a really good system down. Neither one. They're both finicky about being on a podcast, and they're just like trying to get them to schedule 1 hour together where they can be on the podcast has been a pain in the ass. So we have had to I've just said, all right, screw it. We're not going to podcast. I'm not going to try and get backup guests. And then Brian Boucher was supposed to be on.
Yeah.
Just all the chaos of prepping for that affiliate council, the affiliate gathering that we did here. Diablo did it hosted an informal, totally unofficial CrossFit affiliate gathering.
Seemed official.
Yeah, it did look official, huh? We
Yeah.
kind of made it look official-ish. We, Katie Hogan, who's a region manager, helped out a lot. Got us some cool stuff to put up, and I created some banners for the. I created a banner for the front of the gym. It was easy. It's so easy to create banners now. And then we did. We had the PowerPoint presentation stuff up that made it look official. It was nice, but it was all affiliate owners.
Yeah, that guy, some guy named Don showed up too.
I was just going to say, I mean, there's one other detail. To make it
So
official.
and I texted Don Paul and I said, "Hey, you want?" And he goes, "This is awesome." And we had about 40 people there, 45 people there, representing about 30 affiliates.
Yeah,
and about 20 affiliates. You know who you are that didn't show up.
Missed out.
You missed out because that was all affiliate run. That whole thing was affiliate owners, including Dr. McCoy, who is there, speaking about his really cool stuff that you're going to get to hear about the podcast. We probably shouldn't even do this podcast. We shouldn't tell people about this because they didn't come to our affiliate gathering to learn it.
I feel like we want them to know, though.
Yeah, I think it's valuable for us. We want you to know because it benefits us. Because the more people we get signed up for the medical society and for community care, the health program, the better for everybody. So so I'm excited. And what's really cool is Dr. McCoy was a member of Diablo CrossFit when he lived here in the San Francisco Bay Area. So we know him well. He's fit as hell. And he's going to work out with us today after this.
Fired up.
Second time on the podcast too. Welcome back.
Yeah,
in
nice
person.
to be back here
in person,
in the flesh, man.
Yeah.
Back in the hood. It's nice to be back.
So let's dive right in. He had an hour about 30. I think when I scheduled 45 minutes on the schedule, and he used all 45 and then went some because
went into the Q&A.
Because it went into Q&A. And the questions were great.
Yeah.
Every question was answered was the kind of question we wanted to have answered.
Well, that's the thing about this stuff too, is that it's, especially in regards to community care, it is so different.
Yes.
That, once you start to realize what we're talking about, that it's just a stream of consciousness. Well, what about this? Or what does that mean? Or
it almost sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
In a lot lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right. And then you start talking about all the other things that come along with it. It's like, holy shit.
Yep. Community care is CrossFit's new initiative, and led by Dr. McCoy and his partner.
Yeah, Jen Pishko.
Yeah, Jim Pishko, and they are essentially partnering with a firm called Crowd Health to bring a low-cost health insurance substitute to the table for CrossFitters and for the CrossFit community. And we'll get into it in depth, but you can understand instantly why it's valuable, why it could be less expensive for people to participate in something like this. When as soon as you say CrossFitters are participating, because you think about what the average CrossFitter looks like, and then the average health markers of a CrossFit athlete and the CrossFit individual, anyone that's doing it three times or more a week has better biomarkers overall, and therefore less of a risk in terms of healthcare costs.
Correct.
So anyway, we're going to get into that. It's a little bit of a teaser before I wanted to do that. I want to introduce Tom McCoy, former member of Diablo. Now lives in Ohio, has his practice there. He's an osteopathic doctor. I was corrected on that, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
By who? Was that me? Did I correct?
Yeah, I think it was you. He's humble too, by the way. And then he has a practice there, and then he was picked or chosen to help put together the CrossFit Medical Society, which essentially is a conglomeration of anyone that does CrossFit within our community that works in the healthcare business, right?
I mean, it's for everybody.
Okay.
It's for CrossFitters, affiliate owners and coaches, and for healthcare practitioners. Right?
Okay.
And you can really talk about the benefits for each of those groups individually, right? And, as a CrossFitter, an affiliate owner and a coach, and as a healthcare practitioner, right? That's how I think about it, right? So for each of those buckets, what are we creating and building and supporting to bring value to those individual groups, right?
What is it from like 10,000 feet? It is when we say society, it is essentially an organization where people sign up and they give their information and make themselves available to the rest of the community, correct?
Yeah. I mean, if I had to give a 60,000 foot view, it's, what we've built is a health ecosystem, right? And so it is a way for all of us to come together and connect to support the health journey of the CrossFit community. And that includes all of us.
Yeah. So as an example, I'm looking for I moved to town and I'm looking for a doctor or a healthcare practice. And and someone that has knowledge of CrossFit or does CrossFit or maybe even has their L1. I'm going to find that person in that directory.
Yeah. So one of the first things that we wanted to do was create a way for healthcare practitioners to connect with CrossFitters to support them in their journey, right? And so the first thing that we created were the directories, which exist now and everybody has access to them. So joining the medical society is free for all CrossFitters, affiliate owners, and coaches. So if you haven't signed up yet, would encourage you to.
Yeah, please do.
But you can go on the website, and once you sign up, you get access to the directories. And so you say you move to, Northern California and you want to find an orthopedist because you tweaked your shoulder who is going to support you in your journey and not tell you to stop doing CrossFit, but what you need to do to be able to get back up on the pull-up bar, you can do that, right? And the cool thing about all the practitioners on the directory as it stands right now is they're all board certified and good standing with their respective boards, and they're also hold CrossFit certifications, right? So everybody on there has an L1, L2,
MDL2s,
so
3s.
It's this is the cream of the crop of the people who have been supporting this movement from the beginning, right? Been in the game for a long time.
Is there a process for validating that data on an ongoing basis?
Yeah, we do that. So when folks apply, they have to submit in a PDF format their licensure and their CrossFit credential, which needs to be active.
Okay. Yeah, that's outstanding. So I think about, and Jamie, we've had this before, where someone in our gym gets injured. As a matter of fact,
outside of the gym. It happens outside of the gym.
Outside of the gym.
Yeah.
It does actually.
Most often. Usually does.
Yeah. So we had a coach recently that was injured. She broke her patella.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Awful and
kind of a freak accident.
Awful injury.
Yeah, it's the worst.
And one of the things that everyone, of course, our community just instantly wants to help. And so, but one of the things that I did is I sent her the contact information for Dr. Charlie Preston, who is he's did get his L1. He did the medical L1 years back. He's a former member of ours. He's a big believer in the CrossFit methodology, but making that connection kind of gives he knows and understands what she's doing, and he knows and understands, what fitness is, what real fitness is,
right.
and then can give advice based upon what she wants to do.
Yeah. Well, and importantly too, like he understands the emotional impact of what happened to her, right? And how this is going to, impact her daily life and just her mental and emotional well-being, right? Because for any of us, we have an injury like that takes us out of our changes our daily fitness routine. It has a significant impact on us. And I'm sure you guys have had this experience, right? But when we have members who have surgery in our affiliate, they're usually back in there that week. Whether they got
sitting on a bike,
they take one leg on a rower, the other one's propped up, on something. Whatever it is, and I wholeheartedly encourage them to do that, because you need to be with your tribe, you need to be with your community, right? That's healing. And so even if you just come in and roll around on the ground for an hour, like come in and hang out. The last thing you want to do is isolate yourself.
Keep the social side.
I walked in this morning, Davita Jones.
I know. She had her arm in a sling.
She did the Metcon today.
Did she?
Yeah.
With their arm in a sling.
Yeah, with their arm in a sling.
It's a perfect example. It's all modifiable.
Chris McCurry, when he went through one of his multiple surgeries that he had, this guy's the extreme athlete.
Shattered collarbone. He's in here the next week.
Collarbone. Yeah, he was in there the next week. He came in when he had his surgery on his hand. When he tore the tendon in his pinky. He had a heart pick, and he was in there riding a C2 bike. Amazing. But he said to me, one of the things he said to me that was really awesome is when he had his knee replacement surgery.
Partial
knee replacement. He was in here right after he was on the C2 bike pedaling, and he said his doctor said to him, like a few weeks after it, he went in for his regular checkup, and his doctor goes, "You are a healing machine." And it to me, it strikes me as one of those, the reason why that happens, and this is just pure anecdotal observational information here, is that if your body starts working after you're injured, and then it starts working, it's sending a signal to your brain, hey, you better heal up, because this son of a bitch is still going.
We got shit to do.
We got shit to do. That's how I think about it, right? I mean, certainly you don't want to exacerbate the injury. You want to isolate the injury. You want to go through your PTs. You want to do all of that stuff. I'm not saying that. But if you start moving, I watched it with Yvonne, and we've watched it with other athletes in here. You start moving after an injury as soon as you can, after you've got it fixed, you're probably going to heal faster.
Well, I mean, that's part of what's so fascinating about, BFR therapy, blood flow restriction therapy, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
After you get surgery, right? Let's say on your right leg, you can do BFR on your left leg and arm. It accelerates recovery on the right side, right? Because of the systemic influence, right, of the mediators that get released in response to that. It's amazing, right? And so the same thing happens in response to movement, right? You're generating that inflammatory process, which propagates recovery, et cetera, right? So that's why therapy is so important immediately after a procedure.
Is the blood flow restriction are physical therapists using that they are?
Yeah, we have
because there's I noticed there's some science recently published on blood flow restriction.
Oh no, there's been
that
amazing evidence
shows it works for fitness.
Oh yeah. And it's fascinating too, because you can do it with 30% of the load. So if you have joint issues, or say you have osteopenia or other issues that potentially could put you at increased risk with certain movements, that you can generate the same sort of stimulus with a significantly lower amount of weight, right? For certain people who are working through injuries, or if they have pre-existing conditions which may make it harder for them to access heavier loads, it can be a really powerful tool.
That's cool. That's really cool. So as you're coming out of an injury, BFR, blood flow restriction therapy, can help you. And one, using, especially if you do it in a fitness format, probably going to produce faster results.
Yeah, our therapist, our PT group that we work with, who's right next to our affiliate, they have a really nice BFR setup that they use with their folks. So.
Is it just a little bit more on this? Sorry, because I want to keep going.
A lot of rabbit holes.
Keep going.
I know. Is it using bands? Is it how do they do it?
Straps.
You can get some rope and tie it off around your leg. That's not recommended. The best way to do it is you can buy essentially what are BP cuffs.
Okay.
And so they will auto insulflate to just the right level where you're restricting the amount of flow, but they're allowing some arterial flow,
keeping some circulation there.
Because if you have bands that are too tight, right, it can be too much, or a lot of times it's not enough, right? And so understanding the amount right of restriction, those units are expensive, right? So it's somewhat prohibitive, when you do that. But it does make a big difference in the efficacy of using BFR when you're right at the right spot.
So a good thing to have somebody watch closely.
Or if you really are going to use it, you spend the money and get the nicer units if and when you can.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is it the airbags that we've used before? Is that
like the legs?
Yeah, the Nordic compression pants, Nordic pants. Is that the same thing?
No, I think that's no. So that's more just pneumatic compression, right? To stimulate kind of venous.
But as far as like how you
recovery,
you put the cuff on, would that be something that you would inflate then essentially to find the right pressure?
So it would partially inflate. Right, so proximally, kind of upper thighs or on your arms,
and it can isolate maybe like which muscle group you're trying to.
Well, it's isolating the blood pressure. That it's allowing it to
keep the full circumference
venous flow. Right, to all the muscles distally to that point.
Okay,
but the cool part is that it has systemic influences to the region that isn't even being influenced by the BFR. Right, so if you have a right elbow injury, but you do BFR on your left, it can accelerate the healing on the right.
Cool. God, your body's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, that's amazing, right?
Dude, it's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's cool. And that's, again, it seems to me, again, anecdotal, that a CrossFit enthusiast like Dr. Tom McCoy would be more inclined to have more information about really cool stuff like that than a doctor that maybe doesn't exercise at all, for example.
Well, another plug for the medical society.
Yes,
we
please.
have a pretty strong and robust CME, continuing medical education program, right? So for all the healthcare practitioners that sign up, they get that for free as part of their membership, which is really cool because they can use. All of us have to have continuing medical education to stay in good standing and licensed, and it's not cheap. But we include it with the membership, but they can use their CME funds that they get from work, because usually most folks will get a couple grand for CME activities because we have to do it. But they can use that to purchase their CFMS membership, and we're the only ones that pay for it.
That's cool.
It's like $250 to $300 depending on who you are and what you do. But that gets you, we do 24 units a year. There's an article that comes out every week talking about topics that are things that we feel would be a value add to people who are working in this space. And then we have grand rounds once a month as well, where the physician or healthcare practitioner who writes for the newsletter.
I was going to say, those are in the newsletter too, right?
Yeah.
So I see that in the link when it comes through.
Yeah, which is really cool. I mean, how the newsletter structures, we try each month to highlight somebody who is doing the work and developing an affiliate health home who's integrating their clinical practice in with the fitness experience in the affiliate, right? Which is great because everybody does it different. There's no right way to do it. It's a reflection of the resources and the people you have in the community. And so for those of us who haven't started this, or we're curious about how to take that first step, it can be a place where you can start getting some ideas of, oh, I don't have that, but I have this piece. Like I could do that. We should talk about this. So good brainstorming can come out of that for folks.
That's awesome. And it's not, this isn't funded by pharma. Sorry.
No, man, I've been checking my brake cables when I get in the car. You probably got that between big food, big pharma, and the medical industrial complex. After yesterday's talk, I got to watch my back.
Yeah. And it's not nefarious. Certainly the financial backing of those organizations. So, I think everyone thinks it's the the deep state, that's trying to undermine our health so that they can continue to keep us hooked up to medications. And granted, I think that has happened, but I absolutely do not believe that it was a plan. Let's fatten up and make Americans unhealthy so we kept
accumulating that way.
Yeah, so we can get rich on the stock prices of our drugs. No, I just don't because I believe I'm one of those people who believe all humans start out good, and they have good intentions, good thinking, and then profits do start to drive everything we do. Everybody wants to make more money to take care of their families, build, have houses, have nice stuff, and then you want a vacation house and all of that stuff, and so then that's when it starts to happen, when they lose connection. Yeah, and I think they're obviously, this is just opinionating here, that there is a place for pharma within healthcare, education. 100%. Like drugs, there are drugs that save lives. Certainly you can't do surgery without drugs, and we need those things, but they shouldn't have the complete capture of the entire system. And it's awesome to have this side where we're looking at nutrition and exercise as the cure for what ails us, and then providing education from that perspective to help make doctors more well-rounded and especially within their thinking.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I think that, you raise a very important point that, especially in the blogosphere and the world that we live in now through social media, everybody wants to be able to paint something as black or white, right or wrong,
yes, sir,
good or evil. Life is much more nuanced than that, right? And all of us, need to get comfortable with coming back to that center point where we understand the pros and cons and that it's situational, right? And the answer, it depends, most of the time is accurate, because it does depend. But when you talk about the quote unquote healthcare system as it exists today, to your point, Craig, these companies are driven to generate revenue, right? That's what they're doing, right? The problem with that is that they generate revenue by treating disease, right? Or in the case of big food, by creating disease, right?
Yeah.
What we want to do with the medical society is create a system where the creation and the maintenance of health is actually what generates revenue for those involved, or keeps money in our pockets, right? To align our incentives around health being the goal, as opposed to managing disease.
Love that. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Right. Creating health.
Yeah.
And supporting that, creating health rather than managing illness, managing symptoms, even, especially.
Align incentives.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how powerful is it when, we can be in the business of keeping more money in our pockets when we get healthier?
It's quite the incentive.
Tom rattled off at our affiliate gathering yesterday some startling statistics, and what was interesting is Don Fall, the CEO, was there, and he was paying attention to those slides as well. And everybody was.
We talked about yesterday. We have a huge opportunity in front of us here.
We sure do.
I think with we've been leaders in the fitness space for the past 24 years, and with, I think, nationally, the kind of refocusing on the importance of the core pillars of health and the importance of lifestyle and our nutrition strategy and physical movement, and how we're becoming less connected, right, as a society. human to human and the role that that's playing in our health, we can continue to lead to show the country what's possible, not just in the fitness space, but also now in the healthcare space.
Right.
And we can show people how it can be done when incentives are aligned.
So the opportunity here is significant, and I think the time is ripe. One of the things, politics aside, one of the things that this recent presidential election race, especially over the last 6 months, has shown was an incredible amount of attention upon the chronic disease crisis in this country.
Correct.
What was interesting was it was only the subject of one party.
Yeah.
And that made me a little bit sad because, in past elections, it's education. And then in the debate, there's big discussions about education, what each party feels about education, or a war that's taking place, or maybe the climate crisis what both parties feel about that. There's election issues that come up that become the key drivers for who we choose as our president.
Turning points.
Yeah, as a turning. Yeah. And the health of Americans and chronic disease was only being talked about by one party, which I think was a big mistake on the Democrat side to not do that. And they lost. Obviously, they lost their key man in that fight, which was Robert F. Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
And to me it was really but the press grabbed onto it, and the press talked about it a lot.
Yep.
And it's become now center stage is Robert F. Kennedy is now made the director of
Health and Human Services.
Health Human Services,
Yep.
Which is monumental.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, if you look at him himself, and I said this 3 years ago on Twitter, I am going to vote for whoever is physically fit and promotes fitness. That was all I said. And this is before I even knew that RFK was
going to
running.
Yeah.
And that son of a bitch shows up, and you've seen him. He's jacked. He works out. Exercise is a big part of his life. And helping Americans be healthy is a huge part of his messaging.
Yeah. No, I remember being at the DDCs, and he was there back in the day in Scotts Valley.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I mean, that was many moons ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
so it's cool. So what my point was, I was leading up to is that now he's coming in Director of Health and Human Services.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to there is going to be attention on this.
Yes.
Oh, 100%.
The media is going to look at him and watch what he does. But if he's able to have some sort of impact, and if the messaging that comes out, as surprising as it is, if the president came out and said, I think it's good for everybody to go for a walk in the morning, cut some sugar out of your diet, and then go for a walk in the evening, people would do it.
Yeah.
It's really remarkable how, people, and I think right now in the back of my head, well, yeah, if they said that, yeah, I'd probably share that message and, and create some challenges here to do that same kind of thing. There is tremendous amount of influence. And and I suspect it's going to go way beyond that, and which bodes really well, not only for what you're doing, right? Because you're playing right into it, but for CrossFit gyms, it represents a massive opportunity.
It does. Yeah. I'll say this. I certainly don't agree with everything that he says.
Sure.
I think that the fact that we spend over $4.5 trillion on healthcare in this country, and that only 2.9% of that roughly is allocated to addressing or identifying root cause is a travesty. And why is that? As you alluded to, it's not, for the most part related to some nefarious conspiracy that started 100 years ago to make all of us this way. But it is an end result of the fact that people make money by us being sick.
Well said.
And one opportunity I think that stands in front of us is that all of us could benefit by having a recommitment and a deeper understanding of the impact of a whole food nutrition strategy, regular physical movement, and human connection. and nobody does that better than us, right? The reason why, right, people get so frustrated with lifestyle interventions, which is, the first line recommendation for all of this, right? Insulin, resistance, visceral adiposity. It's one of the best treatments for anxiety and depression. The reason why it doesn't work is because we don't know how to tell people to do it, right? So you go in to see a doctor today, you're overweight or class 1 obese, or, your A1C is elevated. They say, eat less, move more, come back and see me in 6 months. How successful do we think somebody is going to be when we push them out the door? They don't even know where to begin. Especially what do we expect? We expect they're going to come back in 6 months, and then we're going to put them on metformin and insulin, and that's going to be the trajectory for the rest of their life. Now we can position ourselves to where those physicians, this is part of the big mission of what we want to do with the CFMS, is that they know that lifestyle interventions are important. We know that it's a first line recommendation, and we have a tool that they can refer somebody to that gives them all of those things. We build skeletal muscle, we build insulin sensitivity, we build high VO2 maxes, and we build habit formation, which is one of the hardest things to do. Yeah. And that's what everybody needs.
Yeah. It's death by information with respect to exercise and what to do. There is so much information, and some of it conflicting, some of it hostile towards each other. You make a great point. When the doctor doesn't know what to tell him to do, the doctor goes and tries to get information on it. They're gonna be like, "Oh, are you kidding me?"
Saying this for so long.
1,374,000 YouTube videos in the last 2 years on exercise. Which one of these should I recommend to my client? Right? Like, there's so much now that it's just in everyone, just like, do this, do that, do this, do that.
But when you look at the numbers, man, it honestly, it is a losing forest for the trees. Like, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
all we need, like, we get the most bang for our buck by if somebody literally has not left their house and all they do is sit on the couch, and we get them to walk around the block. Like, that's where we make the biggest impact.
Isn't that amazing? Now we're starting
100%.
We're starting to see that now.
I don't really care what they tell somebody, but they need to be able to tell them something, and we need to give them a pathway to be able to do it.
Yeah. For 50 years, the conventional wisdom was you got to do at least 45 minutes a day for 7 days a week. That I'm starting to look at and now I'm going back to the nefarious side of it. I'm starting to think of, did the Food and Drug Administration, did the big pharma and the big food tell us we had to do an hour a day for 7 days a week in order to have an impact, because they knew nobody would fucking do that? And now we're starting to find out, like, that's why I love books like Built to Move, which is the Starrett's book. It's like, and I'm starting to find out and realize, literally, I remember my buddy telling me this. All my grandparents lived to be like in almost 100, both grandparents. And he goes, and all they did was go for a walk in the morning, go for a walk in the evening. They're Italian.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then they, they worked and they had some physical labor that they did. But and I used to think back in the day when he told me that, this was many years ago, I'm like, well, that's not enough. They must be doing something else, or they just got good genes. Well, now I'm starting to find out, no, just like you said. Literally, if you can get them to get up and walk around the block, their markers are going to improve.
Well, like, especially after meals.
Yeah, especially after meals, right?
Which is amazing. It's one of the best ways to improve insulin.
And here's the other thing that's starting to come out now too. And it's like, again, it's almost like this stuff has been hidden from us. And I love the CrossFit videos on it. You can start lifting weights in your 80s.
100%. Mm-hmm.
You can start lifting weights in your 80s and you can gain muscle. Mm-hmm. And now there's new evidence starting to show that the process, the metabolic process that makes muscle, doesn't slow down with age.
Yeah, the anabolic resistance, right?
Yes,
we thought that was a thing.
Yeah, it's still there. You can gain muscle and improve your quality of life in the last few years.
Well, it's always been a chicken or the egg question, right? Yeah. Is it our lack of physical activity that happens as we get older that leads to that muscle loss, or is that a predetermined, fait accompli that you lose muscle, therefore you become less active, right? And it seems like no, it's really the former. That if we stay active, we can significantly mitigate the rate of sarcopenia or skeletal muscle loss and bone mineral density loss as we get older. We just need to encourage and provide safe and effective ways for all of us to do that, right? Which is why holding the standard, right, and being really good fucking coaches is so important for CrossFit, right? Because we need to, this is going to be the time when we're going to have a lot of new people coming into our spaces, and that needs to be an amazing experience for them with the best coaching in existence, right?
I'm wondering if there's an opportunity in connecting with doctors, local doctors, to provide them with that tool set to make the recommendations, because you talked about that, right?
One of the
doctors
first,
don't know what to tell them.
One of the first assets that we put on the medical society website was how to have and start those discussions with practitioners in your community, right? And one of our more medium term goals now is to, and this is what the CME is about, and the grand rounds and the articles, is for all of us to level up our game, right? But providing more structured educational pathways so that affiliate owners and coaches can have a more nuanced understanding, so that when they do have discussions with these practitioners, right, they can create an onboarding process to receive someone who's class 2 obese, pre-diabetic, diabetic, who may have osteopenia, osteoporosis, or sarcopenic obesity. They spend an hour with them, like they understand what they're going through. They can be empathetic. They can be present. They can be appropriate in talking about what that on-ramp experience is. And we can establish best practices for bringing those folks into our affiliates, right? Because we all know that somebody who's had an experience walking into affiliate where they weren't acknowledged, they were ignored. And sometimes those are people who are fit and have been in gyms for years, and it still can be very off-putting. I mean, imagine for somebody who's finally gotten up the courage, or their physician or their provider refers them to an affiliate, and that's how they get treated when they walk in. Like we need to do a much better job of just across the board leveling up that experience of what happens when that person walks through the door immediately out of the gate, right?
I would call that urgent for CrossFit affiliates. I would say the 3 things that they need to do for to help with what I think is going to be a major push towards including more fitness in your lives, right, from our government. It's going to be a concerted effort. It's going to push people towards gyms, towards exercise. People are going to seek out expertise. 3 things I'll tell them. Improve your presence on Google immediately, because Google is where people go, and they say, gyms near me, and your gym's going to pop up because a Google locator is going to find your gym. So what does that Google business page look like? I've been comparing notes with Tim Dimmel on the hits on our website. And it's really remarkable. We've seen an increase in traffic over the last web traffic over the last 6 months. For people just searching for CrossFit, but also awesome. Gyms near me.
And that's been a big central focus of HQ too.
That's right. Yep. Search engine optimization. And I would encourage other CrossFit affiliates to go. I bet you're going to see the similar results in your numbers. So that Google My Business, and one of the affiliate owners that spoke yesterday said the same thing. Yeah. Put fresh pictures on there. It's a pain in the ass to go to your Google business page
every 3 months or so.
Yeah, every 3 months. Put new pictures, do a post on there, those types of things. That's what people are going to see. And it'll probably get you more traffic too, because Google will elevate your listing. The second thing is go to your website and the CrossFit website. Your website and the CrossFit website. Go to your directory and put up current pictures. Have a really clear, have one button there where they can click. Here's how to get started. Come do a tour with us. Just come talk to us. Make it really easy, super obvious. Boom, click, go do that. People will do that. Older people will go to websites and they will click on that button. And then the third thing is what Tom said. And the last thing is what Tom said, which is make sure that when people walk into your gym, they have an experience that makes them feel safe and welcome. It's a different type of clientele that's coming in now. We see it here. We get a lot of people that are coming in now, not with limited fitness experience, with no fitness experience. 30, 40, 50 years old, never worked out. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
And so now you need to make them feel like they're in the right place.
Yeah. And I think some of us may forget what it was like to walk into that affiliate for the first time.
Yep.
Right now, you imagine, and a lot of that was with folks who played sports or had fitness experience, right? And it was almost like running the gauntlet to figure out how to get actually in the class, because that was part of the challenge was, who's going to let me into this fucking thing, right? Who I have to talk to make this happen, right? But it's different now.
Yeah, it is.
And think about what it took for that person to get up the guts to even walk through those doors in the first place. How much fear and self-doubt a lot of those folks have, and how intimidating it can be just to walk into our spaces. And what a gift it is to give them a welcoming experience, and it's going to make you more financially successful, right? It's a win-win. It's the right thing to do, and it's the right business strategy as well.
Especially if you have your physician telling you and suggesting, hey, you need to go and check this out. If you're an affiliate and you're not treating that as somebody is being directed towards you for medical reasons, it's like you have to have a different approach.
I'll tell you what, all it takes is one shitty experience.
Yeah.
If
the first thought,
if a healthcare practitioner refers one person, be they a doctor or NPPA or whomever it is, and they come in and they don't get treated with kindness and respect, and it's not welcoming, they're going to let that provider know, and they will never send anybody again.
Yeah. Big missed opportunity.
The other thing, and this is one thing that our community is good at, is help train your community too. And it is something we tell our members, like, when we have new people come in, help us out, say hello. And if someone new walks in here, people smile. We have a few members that'll walk up and shake their hands, go welcome, and make people feel encouraged. The good news is that, as Tom said, look, they're scared. You have no idea what it took for them to walk through those doors. I do, because I've talked to people who have told me how scary it was to walk into this place. And
I've seen times they've sat in the parking lot waiting and watching.
Yes, we've seen them for their intros. They come and they'll sit in the parking lot for a while, and then all of a sudden they'll come in, and it's a slow walk too. It's not like, hey, how are you guys doing? It's just I walk in like, okay. And then it's even more pronounced when we take them from the lobby and we walk them around the corner and there's a class going on, and you just see them look at it, and I'm instantly knowing what they're thinking. The irony is that 6 months later, they're one of those people, and other people are walking in going, that dude looks like he's a beast. And everybody looks like they know what they're doing. But the good news is, coming back to my point, is that if they walk through those doors, there's probably a 90% chance that they're going to sign up. That's the good news. Like if they came through those doors,
as long as somebody greets them.
I was just going to say, there's one detail that needs to be in place for that to happen. Right. Otherwise, that success turnover rate is going to drop drastically.
Yeah. And then they leave and they tell their doctor, and then they also write a Google review.
Yeah. But I mean, if you think about it though, you really only need a relationship with one provider, and you will have a steady stream of referrals. Every physician, right, or healthcare practitioner with our patient population, we went over the obesity numbers yesterday, right? What's projected by 2050, right? 215 million people are going to be obese, 260 overweight or obese by 2050.
Yeah. And wait, hang on a second. Let me interject.
Yeah.
That number, that 2050 number, this is a recent study that was released in Tom to put these statistics up, and everybody was writing those down. But the one thing that wasn't said was 43 million of them are estimated to be children and adolescents.
Kids and adolescents.
Obese.
Yeah.
43 million.
1 in 5 kids, 1 in 3 teens, 2 in 3 adults by 2050, right?
On the trajectory that we're currently at.
Yes. Yeah. If there's not drastic changes, right?
Not a big intervention.
So, I mean, the point that I'm making there is that the vast majority of people who physicians will be seeing for the next, 20 to 30 years are going to be struggling with metabolic dysfunction and obesity. And that is our wheelhouse. That is what we do. And they're going to need effective strategies to provide their patients with to be successful and reverse this, right, from a lifestyle-based approach. Nobody does that better than us. Nobody does that better than us.
What would you sorry, Jamie.
Yeah, I just kind of, I was looking through the website, and we had mentioned, making relationship with healthcare providers.
That's kind of what I wanted to ask. Yeah.
So I'm looking through here. I'll share the screen real quick. And I came across the assets you had mentioned before, and it's in the resources. You click down on the assets, and let me see if I get this right. Here we go. Okay, so this is like a PDF. Would you suggest, like, how would you suggest kind of starting that process or communication with a healthcare provider?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think just as with a lot of these things, it just starts with a conversation.
Okay. So like come in, hey, I got this pamphlet, check this out, or
invite them to go to a cup of coffee.
Okay.
I mean, just sit down and talk. And it's, not to make it sound salesy, but when I sit down with, another healthcare practitioner, right. And these are the things you want to keep in mind. It's just like any other discussion. You want to surface the need of the individual, right? And we know what their need is. They have a lot of metabolically sick folks.
Yeah.
And they don't have a pathway that's going to be effective to make them healthier aside from medications for the most part at this point, right? But if you get good at asking open-ended questions, it can really take care of itself.
Okay.
What kind of patients do you see?
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of patients who are overweight or obese? How do you talk with them about nutrition?
What's the success rate of them
They
returning?
are not going to have a lot of good answers for you, right? And if you have created pathways where you can support your members in those categories, right? And it does not have to be anything special, right? Meats, vegetables, nuts, seeds, some fruit, little starch and sugar, like that will work for the vast majority of people. Come in and move heavy shit and be in a group setting and develop community connection. Like you don't have to do anything else, but you need to know how to have that conversation and convey why what we do is so effective to address the needs of their patients, right? And if you get comfortable doing that, you will have a steady stream of new referrals to your affiliate.
If you have stories or experiences in your own CrossFit affiliate,
testimonial type stuff.
Testimonials, I would have those ready to share those stories. Those are, whenever I do in a group discussion and I share the story of, someone that's completely changed their life and lost, 100 pounds. And we have multiple of those stories. You can tell that everybody's like, oh, that like they start to pay attention and it resonates with them.
And I think we should do, and, I think CrossFit's been in general been doing a better job of this, but we should also be highlighting the impact on addiction and recovery and on mental health disorders and how influential this can be, and share those stories as well, right? Because depression, anxiety, PTSD, substance use disorder, alcohol use disorder, opioid use disorder, like these things are just as devastating, right, societally for us as metabolic dysfunction and obesity is. And our interventions are just as effective.
That's right.
For those as well.
Oh, a number of people in here in this gym that we've saved.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And the loneliness factor, there are some CrossFit pundits that like to make fun of the loneliness factor and CrossFit's discussion around how it has benefited people suffering from loneliness, but loneliness is a killer.
Oh no, I mean,
and it's when you talk to people that come here for their community involvement, it's really remarkable. As a matter of fact, they just did a post on the Michelson family, the Michelsons. Two generations of Michelsons are here.
Oh wow,
there's 9 how many? No, there's 9 family members across 4 generations doing CrossFit. It's actually big. I think the number is even bigger than that. I'll have to look it up. But anyway, so 4 of his family members are here. But he talked about that. The eldest, the patriarch of the family, talked about his journey with CrossFit and one of the things that he benefits from is being with people.
Yeah. No, this is a soapbox one for me. I think that from a modifiable lifestyle factor standpoint, that community connection may be one of the most influential things that we do. And all anybody has to do, I mean, the data is very clear. Look at the Surgeon General's report from 2023. If you are socially isolated or lonely, your risk of heart attack and stroke goes up about 30%. Your risk of ER visits and hospitalizations both go up around 60%. And your risk of cognitive decline and dementia increases by 50%. right? And so just by having a connection to a community, which is inherent, right, in the CrossFit methodology, you are significantly mitigating that potential negative influence on your health.
Those are some startling numbers.
It's insane.
You can't argue with that. You can make all the fucking memes you want in the world, but you can't like about it. But that is probably, and that is something here that I know we do, especially we saw it in the pandemic, right? Jamie?
Oh,
people came here, like people would come and just stay here, and they're like, "This is my saving grace."
Yeah.
Well, in when you're utilizing a lifestyle concepts approach to improve health, right? What's the hardest thing to do? It's to establish and maintain habits.
Yeah.
The way that you do that and support that journey is by leveraging the power of the tribe, right? And James Clear talks a ton about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody should read his book, Atomic Habits, right? But it is so hard, right, to go against the grain with your tribe, right? So if everybody's eating whole foods and they're doing regular fitness, and you decide, no, fucking, I'm going to eat donuts and I'm going to go once every 2 or 3 months, like our crew is going to call you out. Your tribe's going to be like, what's going on? Where are you at? What are you doing? We, for better or worse, we want to fit in. Sometimes we want to fit in the wrong places. But when you get in the right type of community and you surround yourself with the right people and you want to fit in, you can leverage that to your benefit.
3 weeks ago, we had a Christian on, and she talked about her weight loss. She's lost almost 100 pounds now.
Wow.
And she talked about one of the biggest struggles that she had was her friends and family members that were telling her that was enough.
Yeah, she's
to stop. And you're doing CrossFit, stop doing CrossFit.
Yeah.
She's breaking generational.
Yeah, generational obesity.
Yeah.
Grandmother at 700 pounds, an aunt at her mom at 500 pounds. Her grandmother died at 700 pounds.
She was at 415 and early 20s. She's some changes herself. So
and
she's amazing
here now
in here too. She's awesome.
She's a great athlete. She lost a bunch of weight, but she talked about that. It's all in her family. Like,
and think about if she was trying to do that on her own, going to the gym or working out in the basement, and she comes upstairs and her family's sitting there on the couch and they're scoffing at you.
It's kind of going against the tribe.
It's like how long? Like what human can keep that up indefinitely? Right? She can leverage the power of her tribe here, right, to help balance out that.
That's what she does.
Which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right. It's invaluable.
She comes here for that. She's told Jamie that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the important part because we're going to go work out in a little while.
Yes.
This clock on the wall is fast, by the way. But one of the most exciting things of the presentation yesterday, and everybody was paying attention, and you got so many questions, and I think you probably got more questions afterwards as well. And I noticed Don Fall was really paying attention too, was the community care healthcare initiative. And this is essentially a replacement or an additive to your health to your health insurance. And it is, as I understand, I'm just going to give a broad sweep of it. It is essentially crowdfunding, and it's successful and proven, by the way. Let me just start there. This isn't something that was made up for this, but it is crowdfunding for healthcare.
Correct. Yeah. So one of the most exciting things, I think, for us at this point with this health ecosystem that we've been able to create with the CFMS, between the directories, the ability for anyone in the community to go on and get labs, and now the ability to cover healthcare expenses without the needs of traditional medical insurance, for really the first time is going to allow everyone in our community to step out of the disease economy and align our incentives around health. So community care, right? What is it? So it, as you stated, Craig, it is a crowdfunding platform that covers healthcare expenses. And not surprisingly, when you align incentives around the creation and sustainment of health, it reduces costs significantly, which is a really exciting prospect. So as a general overview, essentially how this works, right? To join the community care infrastructure community, you pay $55 a month membership fee. And then each month, the healthcare needs of the community will vary, right? So the cost will move up and down somewhat, but that amount that you pay to cover the healthcare expenses for the community is capped at $140, right? So between your $55 a month membership fee and your $140 max contribution to the healthcare needs of the community, that you are capped at $195. You will never pay more than $200 a month for your quote unquote healthcare expenses, for your coverage, right? In the many years that Crowd Health, our partner in this program for community care, has been doing this, they've only asked for that $195, that max amount, twice.
And how long?
Over 3 years. I think
3
it's close
years.
to 4 years
Okay.
now. So the vast majority of the time, I think it's like $150, $160 a month. I think in June or July, they asked for $60, on top of the 55. So it's like 105, So very, very reasonable. The list goes on, but the really cool part about this, right, is that for a lot of us who have utilized traditional insurance in the past, we will have plans that will have deductibles that are astronomical. Right? With community care, if you have a significant health event, and we can walk through an example here in a second, but if you have a significant health event, your quote unquote kind of deductible is capped at $500. And you can use an HSA fund for that, right? So, as an example, if you're walking down the street and skateboarder hits you or whatever, and you break your ankle, ambulance comes, picks you up, takes you to the hospital. You get x-rays, you get some Motrin, maybe you get an IV or some blood work, and the registration person comes in and they say, can I have your insurance information? You would just say, no, I'm a cash pay, right? So you don't pay anything when you go. Send me the bill. Community care has a representative allocated directly to our CrossFit community. Her name's Lizzie. She's amazing. She's one of their most OG folks who's been doing this, and they let us use her for our community because they're so excited about this project and what it can mean. Lizzie then calls the hospital and negotiates a cash pay price, which is usually a half or a third of what gets given to the insurance company, which is a whole nother issue about the backdoor deals that insurance companies will make with different hospitals about what actually gets paid and who's paying it, right? But then that bill gets submitted to the community, it gets paid, and you're good, right? So if you have $500 tucked away at an HSA or an FSA, which by the way, you do not need insurance to get an HSA or an FSA. You can go to Fidelity and set one up right now without that. And you budget, $200 a month, you're good to go. And no matter what happens, you're covered, and it goes for anything, right? So they've treated cancer patients, heart attacks, strokes, medevacs after gunshot wounds, everything is covered, which is pretty amazing.
So for a family of 4 like Jamie Lee, he's going to pay $55 per person.
$420 basically.
Yeah, the individual, it's the same for kids or for adults, right?
Yeah.
So the pricing's still the same. So there's the 55 kind of community component, and then the ranging. So it's around 400 or whatever.
All right. So if he gets an assessment, where someone submits for services, and that's say $100, if for him it's going to be $400.
So for each individual, right?
It's $100.
Yes, it would range for them. So it may be, for the family of 4, I think the average, I was looking, was like last month, like 600 or something like that. So it depends from month to month what those expenses are for each individual.
And the
but for a family with traditional insurance, right, that monthly premium is usually like $1,200 or $1,400.
Yeah.
So it's
double that.
Actually, more than that.
Ours is double that.
And I mean, keep this in mind, right? We talked about these numbers yesterday, right? The average premium amount for families in the United States is, what was it?
$2,400.
$23,396.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. So almost $24,000 just to have the right to pay more for healthcare. That's just your premium cost, even if you don't use it. If you have to use that and pay a $5,000 or a $10,000 or a $20,000 deductible, right? You are literally talking about this is like potentially a tenth
Yeah.
of what you're going to pay if you actually need to use it. And keep in mind, as we talked about yesterday, the insurance company model is to make it as hard as humanly possible for you to actually get reimbursement, right? So they use technology and AI algorithms to adjust prior auth denials, right, when they need to make it extremely challenging for you. And it's just so diabolical, right? In your most vulnerable time, when you've been paying outrageous sums of money so that you can be covered when you need to, have a health event, not push you into bankruptcy, right? And then they essentially have set up systems to make it nearly impossible for you to get the money that you need.
And again, it's one of these things. It's not nefarious. Like, they're not intentionally trying to do this to harm Americans. What they are trying to do is increase profitability. And what they have done now, that statistic you showed with the AI evaluation,
the dial.
The dial. I understand how that came into place. Like, as you're a company, you've got this big administrative company, you got to make evaluations, and you've got all of a sudden, wow, this opportunity with artificial intelligence to do it without humans,
make it more
so
efficient.
that it happens, make it more efficient and more cost effective. But now you've taken the human element out of it, and you've totally made it statistical. And now, and of course, the healthcare company is rewarded when that rules in favor of the health insurance company. So now you get this leaning in towards this, and instantly now Americans are paying more.
Well, it is a little nefarious because they do adjust.
I think you're right.
The rate of denials kind of based on the need from quarter to quarter. There's some. It's pretty shocking. What's happening?
So what Tom's suggesting, by the way, he gives the analogy of or the metaphor. It's an analogy or metaphor of a dial. So someone turning the dial to turn it. We need a little bit more profit.
Just a little bit more.
A little bit less profit.
That's pretty more scrutiny on what's going on. We turn it back down. And both Cigna and Humana have been sued for doing this. And the company is called EvaCore. It's known as Evil Core.
Oh, that's right. Damn. And so with Crowd Health, first of all, you got CrossFit. So the first wave of people that can sign up are CrossFit affiliate owners. If you're CrossFit affiliate owners, sign up. And coaches,
yep. And coaches and their families too, right?
Like owners, families, coaches, families.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you've instantly got a pool of healthier people, right? So over time, what we should see is that our cost compared to maybe other groups, is probably going to be less.
Well, and we can leverage that for our own financial benefit, right? As we're making these agreements and what we pay monthly, right? Because if we're using the system less, then those potential contributions and what we need to do going forward can come down, or we can allocate those into more proactive things that actually create more health, right? So, some of the other things that community care offers, right? You get unlimited primary care telehealth.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You get unlimited mental health services, telehealth. And should you need them, hopefully you don't, should you need them, there's a discount pharmacy program as well, like GoodRx, similar to that. It's not the same, but similar to that you can utilize. And all this is included, right? But think about how powerful it could be when we can start to leverage something. Like I was having a discussion, what's the gentleman's name, the affiliate owner who was here yesterday with the beard, former police officer out in Fairfield.
That's Gabby's boss, and that's a takedown, CrossFit takedown.
Eric. Yeah. So I was having a conversation with Eric yesterday, right? And so he's doing his doctorate right now in mental health services, right? Cool. So he was special forces in the Army, and then a cop for 9 or 10 years, right? So he's in a 9-year affiliate owner. He's been in the game for a long time, right? So we're talking about what he wants to do, right, with his education. He's, passionate about working with first responders in the military, right, suffering with mental health disorders and PTSD. The same for officers, right? And we're kind of brainstorming on, think about how cool it would be, right, with our community, because support for first responders in the military has always been a huge part of what we do, right? When we're big enough and we can collectively leverage our power, how cool would it be if we had a program where everybody threw in $5, but that allocated ongoing preventative, proactive mental health services for first responders and active military to have regular mental health care. You know, like
That'd
we
be
can
pretty
all
cool.
get behind that
That'd
because
be really
we were
we
talking
could.
about, he's like, we don't even
Yeah.
use insurance because they
Easily.
authorize 8 visits. Like if
Easily.
somebody is unstable, I'm going to be seeing them every week. Like we
Yeah.
burn through those 8 visits and we're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
but when we have more money in our pockets, we can do things like that that completely change the game, right? This is the free market correcting itself. Like the pendulum has swung so far in the name of profit and revenue at the expense of our health, because it's essentially a disease management system. We have the opportunity now to swing it back, right? To course correct and prioritize health. And it opens up opportunities that we don't even know exist yet.
Healthcare. The other statistic that you rattled off too is that, you know, healthcare costs is one of the biggest contributors to bankruptcy in this country.
So
Of
it
the
was like
5
64% or something.
Yeah,
66%.
Yeah, of the 500,000 bankruptcies that occur every year, over 330,000 of them are driven by healthcare debt.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's the
And
leading cause of bankruptcy.
And you think your insurance would prevent you from,
And many of those
being in that
folks are
situation.
insured.
Yeah.
Many of those folks are
Yeah.
insured.
and so now you have this opportunity to participate in a program which will greatly reduce your monthly costs, enable the hospitals to reap a benefit. They don't have to deal with the insurance company.
Correct. Well, and you know, this is as much about providing. You know, we need to speak with our dollars, right?
That's right.
And if we do that and continue to push for transparency, right, in the medical community, that will have a huge influence on our ability to make informed decisions about healthcare expenses, right? Because right now, in many places, that doesn't exist. And in what other situation do you go into a restaurant and you buy a bowl of soup and it's $5 at one place or it's $300 at another, but they aren't going to tell you until after you finish eating it, and we'll send you the bill in the mail, and you have to pay it. And if you don't, and you can't, then we'll fucking sue you and we'll garnish your wages.
And that happens.
Yeah. No, in Marty Marketing's book, right, The Price We Pay, he talks about one community in New Mexico where the hospital had filed as many lawsuits as there were residents in the community. It was over 25,000, enough to sue every single person in the town. It's a great book. It's called The Price We Pay. It is unconscionable.
The two benefits for this as a CrossFit affiliate owner, there's two benefits here. And by the way, if this isn't something that Tom and Jen have just created out of the thin air and kind of testing this. This is a proven system through a company called Crowd Health. And I had a chance to speak to one of the founders of that company about 6 months ago. Andy, he's a great guy. And he told his own personal story that motivated him to do this, with his son that had a sinus infection.
Yeah. ENT procedure. They had to get ear tubes. Yeah. It's just crazy. Like, so the specialist says your kid needs this procedure, right? Recurrent infections. We're going to put ear tubes in. Gets the procedure done just as the specialist is recommended. And then the insurance company says, nope, not covered.
It's out of network.
Just it wasn't indicated.
Oh, really?
Not medically necessary.
What?
And this is what we're talking about, right? Even though the specialist was recommended, was clearly medically indicated. And for him, he was like, you know what? Fuck the system. I've had enough of this. We can do it a different way.
Yeah.
And both Andy, Grant, everybody else who works at the company, like they've been in this space for a long time.
Yeah.
They know the insurance industry inside out. They know the healthcare industry inside out. And that's one of the reasons they've been so successful. They haven't needed to take any money. Like they're growing the right way. And it's really impressive what they've built. They've been extremely successful.
So for CrossFit affiliate owners, this is insurance for your coaches that is affordable.
It's not insurance.
Not insurance.
For CrossFit affiliate owners,
this is healthcare costs. What is it?
It is a way to pay for your healthcare expenses.
Healthcare expenses.
You can call it healthcare coverage, but it's not. We aren't going to say insurance.
Okay.
This is a way to provide healthcare coverage, cover your expenses at a very reasonable rate that allows affiliate owners to provide this benefit to their coaches. At least initially, you can have the coaches pay, and they're going to save a lot of money. And this is, I know there's affiliate owners with coaches out there with no insurance.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're living dangerously.
Yep.
But here's a way for them to have it at a reasonable cost. Here's a way for you to provide it without breaking the bank for you.
And how cool is that?
Yeah. And if you sign up on if you go to their website, the Community Care website, and sign up, and you can find that.
If you go to the CrossFit Medical Society website, just a screen down is the Community Care link. You'll see that, and there's a ton of FAQs and info on that. You can schedule a meeting with the Community Care team to ask any questions that you want. You should have a lot of questions. Like, everybody needs to do their due diligence with this and evaluate if it's the right thing for them.
So this is a bit. So the one benefit is immediately for affiliate owners. Here's a way to provide healthcare coverage for your coaches, right? Healthcare, cover your healthcare costs, because everybody talks about that. This is something that has been lacking within affiliates. This is awesome.
Well, don't forget the referral.
Well, hang on, we're going to get to that. That was the thing I was going to end with.
Your close.
And the next thing is when we are allowed to have our members in, and I saw Don's eyes light up because a number of affiliate owners are like, hey, we want our members to be able to
take advantage of this.
Assuming they have to have, and what Tom said, they would have to have a membership at a CrossFit gym to participate in this. But think about that. If they have to have a membership and then they can participate, so our members can save on their healthcare costs dramatically by participating, but it's tied to their membership. Now you've got a hook in them. So when they come and they say, hey, I'm going to leave town. This is, we get this time of year, especially. I'm going to be out of town for a couple of months because vacation, I'm traveling, whatever else. I'm going to not be able to get in the gym as much. I want to put my membership on hold, or I want to cancel my membership. Well, aren't you also a member of the of community care? And you're, you got to keep those two together. It's a way to help with retention. If those two are associated, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to Diablo CrossFit, and I'm saving on my healthcare costs as a result of going to Diablo CrossFit. That's a way to just keep a member forever.
Yeah, but here's the thing about this, right? Is that it's actually ethically the right thing to do too.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're creating health.
Your health. You're incentivizing the health.
You're incentivizing people to stay healthy, right? Instead of, waiting until they become diseased and profiting off of that. So we should feel really good about that because the incentives are aligned, right? It is ethically the right thing to do, and financially it's the right thing to do.
And affiliate owners, for every person that you refer, if you go register yourselves, for every person that you refer that signs up, that's a $250 referral fee to you. And you can, so if one coach signs up, that's $250, that's 5 months of coverage of their healthcare costs. Put it back to the coach if you want.
And think about what those referral fees look like when it's open to the community.
Oh man.
Right. You get half your affiliates signed up at $250 a head. Right.
That's
I mean, when you think about a game changer,
we just
situation,
don't get those types of opportunities as affiliate owners that come along very often. And this one is huge, especially again, you're incentivized. You're incentivized to create healthy people.
Yeah. And you also do get, on the CFMS website, you can go to the biomarker hub, and anybody can go on there and get labs now, but you get a panel incled each year as a community care member, right? So everybody can look under the hood,
which is another challenge.
Where you want to talk about that.
Thing.
Yeah, you get the full blood panel. The full blood panel is $199.
And a lot of affiliates we work with, right, they will utilize this as a resource with their members to drive engagement. You can do that, right? You can have a phlebotomist come into the affiliate and do draws, right? They can take to their provider to review it, or they can work with a provider on the directory to review those, right? And everybody needs to do that, right? Because this is D2C. And so I would not expect anybody getting these is going to understand the ins and out of all these numbers. So they need to have a relationship with somebody who can tell them what to do with it. That's it's very important.
That one is really cool.
Yeah,
I've actually had a doctor tell us last week that's a really good price on that.
It is
on that panel.
It is
for all of the data that's on there.
No, it really is. And I do want to make this point for healthcare practitioners listening, that I am as excited about what these resources and tools mean for the affiliate community members as I am about what it means for healthcare practitioners.
Yeah.
Because, don't get it wrong. The doctors and other healthcare practitioners that are having to work in the system as it exists today are just as frustrated as the rest of us. The vast majority of us just don't know how to do it differently, or how to start to step outside of the system, right? And one of the things that we wanted to do by creating the ecosystem and the directories is to provide healthcare providers an avenue to start to develop relationships directly with people who understand the importance of fitness and being proactive and preventative in a way that they can generate revenue, right? So it's just as important in combating burnout and transitioning from medicine 2.0 to 3.0 for the providers as it is for our community and our affiliates.
Outstanding. Well, Tom, thank you very much for being on today. This was a really big part of our presentation yesterday to affiliates. You're going to get, after this, I think you're going to start getting just a ton of inquiries. And I'm encouraging affiliate owners to go to the website, CrossFit Medical Society, check it out. Join the medical society, have your coaches join the medical society, and then really dig into community care. Yeah. And let's hit this hard. I think it's a huge opportunity for CrossFit.
I'm fired up. I'm more fired up about getting to work out now. So we need to get out and do that. Yeah. But the first thing I'm going to do is sign that flag, because we were partying too hard at the games a couple of years ago, and I didn't get to sign the OG flag. So I was looking at it the whole time, and by the time I realized it, I was too many beers deep and too far away. I was like, nah, fuck it. But we're doing it today.
You got a chance. You got your chance.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Till next time.